The legendary origins of the city of Tenochtitlan date back to 1325 when, according to the Aztecs, they came across an omen from their gods telling them that they should settle down right there, where they saw a divine bird eating a snake. So they founded the great city of Tenochtitlan on an island in Lake Texcoco right there on the spot. But while that's a fun story, it's not true. In fact, the founding of Tenochtitlan is even weirder than that, because before the Aztecs showed up, this place was already occupied by another Mesoamerican civilization, whose religion was based entirely around ball games. So let us talk about how the Aztecs took over this ball court city, and what happened to all those people who disappeared. If you're new here, welcome to my channel, where we explore ancient ruins, lost civilizations, and forgotten mysteries. Join us as we uncover secrets of the past and bring them to life through storytelling. If you love the kind of thing, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any of our new videos. So first off, that story about the founding of Tenochtitlan is found in the Florentine Codex, which is a document written by Bernardino de Sion, a Spanish missionary who lived in the 16th century after the Spanish conquest. It contains a lot of information about the history, culture, and religion of the Aztec Empire, but a lot of it might be inaccurate or exaggerated. The story goes like this. In 1325, the wandering Mesoamerican tribe known as the Mexica or the Aztecs were looking for a place to settle down and build their great city. One day they came across a lake where they saw an eagle eating a snake in its beak, just like the one on their flag. And since this was exactly what the prophecy said they should look for, they knew this was the place. They settled down on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco and built their capital city, Tenochtitlan, right there on the spot. But modern archaeologists haven't found any evidence to support this story. In fact, the earliest evidence we have of settlement in the area dates back to around 1345, which is only about 20 years after the mythical founding date, but still long enough for us to know that the city wasn't founded in 1325. What makes things even weirder is that before the Aztecs showed up, there was already a big city right there on the very same island. This city had been occupied by a mysterious civilization who built several temples dedicated to the ball game, and I mean several. We're talking at least 5 major ball courts within the city limits, including one that was probably the largest in Mesoamerica. And if that doesn't seem like a lot of ball courts for a civilization that nobody has ever heard of, well, get ready to have your mind blown, because all we know about this civilization is that they like playing ball. Their entire religion revolved around the ball game. Each neighborhood in the city had its own ball court, and there were priests who officiated the games. They kept records of the games and even had a special writing system to keep track of the scores. These guys were serious about their ball game, and yet we still don't know who they were, what they called themselves, or what happened to them. All we know is that they played a lot of ball. Unfortunately, most of the archaeological evidence for their civilization is gone. When the Aztecs showed up, they completely destroyed the old city, erased any memory of its existence, and built their own city right on top of it. But we can still find traces of the old city beneath the Aztec ruins. And from what we have found, it seems like these ball players lived in a large metropolis with impressive architecture and urban planning. There was a grid system of canals just like in Venice or modern Bangkok, and the main causeway into the city even resembled the Champs-Élysées in Paris. There was also a floating garden in the middle of the lake, which may have served as a place for religious ceremonies or as a luxurious park for the elite. The oldest part of the city was surrounded by a defensive wall and moat, and there was a causeway leading into the city through the center of the floating garden. It is hard to imagine that the Aztecs didn't know about this place, because the older city was only abandoned about 2 generations before the Aztecs showed up. And yet when they did show up, they acted like they were the first ones there. According to the legends, the Aztecs claimed the land as their own and forced the people living there to become their slaves. But it gets even weirder, because that's not what the archaeological evidence is telling us. When the Aztecs invaded this place, they destroyed all of the ball courts and most of the buildings. They buried all of the statues and melted down every piece of gold jewelry they could find. In other words, they went in and did everything they could to erase all signs of the civilization that had lived there before them. And yet they didn't kill anyone. The Aztecs didn't enslave the local population. In fact, they welcomed them as guests. They offered them noble titles and positions of power in their society. This is really strange because the Aztecs were known for being warlike. They conquered many other Mesoamerican civilizations and enslaved their populations. But the people who lived in the ball court city were spared all of that. The most likely explanation is that the Aztecs simply couldn't take over the city because the ball players had already disappeared. Maybe they all went to live in the floating garden in the middle of the lake. Or maybe they retreated into the canals and turned their city into a watery grave. Or maybe the legend is actually true, and the Aztecs really did come across this place in 1325. And everyone had just left town to go to the ball game. That would explain why there was no resistance and why the Aztecs simply adopted their culture and traditions without wiping them out. Whatever happened, the ball players are gone and the Aztecs were able to claim the city as their own without having to fight a single battle. Now, the Aztecs were only able to hold on to the city for about 200 years before the Spanish showed up and claimed it for Spain. They, too, were fascinated by the ball courts and wondered if they had anything to do with the Aztecs. The Spanish friar Diego Duran wrote, quote, "Some say that the first lords of this city were the builders of the round temples, in which they played ball, and that they were a different people from the Mexicans. But despite their interest, neither the Spanish nor the Aztecs ever learned who built the ball courts. So today, we still refer to them as the lost ball players of Tenochtitlan. While we may never know what happened to this mysterious civilization, we can appreciate their contribution to the history of sports. They developed a game that required skill, strategy, and teamwork, and they played it with a passion that rivaled any modern team. Their love for the ball game inspired some of the greatest works of art and architecture in Mesoamerica, and it left behind a legacy that continues to fascinate us today. As we continue to explore the ruins of Tenochtitlan, we hope to learn more about the ball players and their fascinating way of life. Who knows what other secrets they might have left behind. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting us. Your support helps us to continue exploring ancient ruins, lost civilizations, and forgotten mysteries. And who knows, maybe one day we'll even uncover some of the secrets of the lost ball players of Tenochtitlan. Thanks for watching.